For the second time in 3 days, Chief Mediator Kofi Annan headed to Harambee House for another session with the two principals, President Moi Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga. This was just a day after listening to submissions from various groups, among them the European Union, the civil society, the religious organizations and the business community, who were all unanimous that the government had done little in the implementation of Agenda 4 reforms. Though details of the one-hour meeting remain scanty, Annan is reported to have urged the two principals to rally their respective members in the Grand Coalition to fully focus on the reform agenda. Annan is also reported to have insisted that only political goodwill could ensure speedy implementation of Agenda 4 reforms, possibly by mid-next year. Annan had earlier met retired President Daniel Moi at his Cabernet Gardens home. The chief mediator's shuttle diplomacy also saw him pay the Speaker of the National Assembly, Kenneth Marende, a courtesy call. A statement from the Speaker's office says Marende praised Annan on the role played by Parliament in making the reforms a reality. He cited the adoption of various reports such as the Waki and Kriegler reports and the passing of legislation that created the Electoral, Boundaries and Constitutional Review Commissions as envisaged in the Agenda 4 of the National Accord. Internal Security Minister Professor George Saitoti also had a chance to update Annan on the progress made so far in reforming the country's police force.
The leadership has been changed, and it's not just merely at the headquarters here. We have carried out changes in the provincial administration.
On the plight of the internally displaced persons, Annan got a brief from the Secretary General of the Red Cross Society, Abbas Gullet. Annan is reported to have expressed concern that 18 months since the coalition government was formed, victims of the post-election chaos were still languishing in camps.
The issue of IDPs is there with us. I don't think it's Mr. Annan would find solution to this problem. This is a Kenyan problem, and we need to find solution ourselves as Kenyans to this issue.
Annan also had a brief session with the Director General of the United Nations office in the region, Akim Steiner. All this in an effort to galvanize support for the implementation of the reform agenda. The Grand Coalition remains convinced that it has done extremely well in implementing Agenda 4 reforms. However, the clear message that Kofi Annan has delivered to President Moi Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga is that a lot more needs to be done if Kenyans are to be granted a peaceful coexistence even after the next general election. Francis Gashuri, Citizen TV at Harambee House in Nairobi.